Hey, yeah, what's up? This disciple Marshall Occurrence, rain back up in this anti-Illuminati all day. I don't rock with America. You already know how it is. You know what it is, and you probably know why it is. If you watch my videos, you know. but yeah, this video gonna be basically addressing and what America's using the psychological war that the Americans are using against Christians. I'm a Christian. Just putting myself out there as far as what's happening to me. Um, they're doing it to alliances of Christians, alliance of good, great people, other countries that are in alliance with Christians. Um, what you have here is basically a satanic federation that is in America now. That's basically the way you can put it. What they're using is a network of psychological individuals, spiritual people that are using psychological weapons and weaponry. So what they're using is um, psychics, telepaths, wizards, witches, all like a dream team of them together. If you can imagine all of them as one unit, one network in America, that's how it actually is. It's not isolated witches, isolated warlocks, isolated wizards, and telepaths and psychics. They're all together in one unit, as a dream team unit against the likes of me and Christians and our alliances, Russia, uh, even alliances on Facebook and social medias. They attack this psychological team of people are attacking all those platforms and people on those platforms and getting into the lives of those people literally. So, for instance, if you are a great spiritual leader or person that follows uh, good people, or you follow God, they definitely will look up your alliances and find out where they live, and they will network around them. So this psychological, let me tell you the purpose of this psychological uh, operation. Their whole purpose is to basically make you suicidal and depressed, or lash out in society and kill someone. But what they want to do is make you suicidal. That's their whole point. So what they do is they use pedophilia images. If you notice, a lot of weird, strange images of feces, urine, baby heads, baby images, 3D images, what I call 3D attacks, which is while you're in your timeline on your Facebook, some kind of image comes out to your mind while when you see children, when you see even animals or certain things, and they can be specific, so they can bring it down to your specific life. So these what I call 3D attacks, when you're going down your timeline and you get attacks coming at you. So this is what this network does, and this is why I must note this. This is why COVID-19 is here. Um, this is why all of this is my personal opinion. I'm entitled to my personal opinion. It's we're all entitled to our opinions. That's not against the law, so it's against it's not that's freedom of speech in my belief system. Is I have my opinion. You know, so I believe that all these things were caused. This network that I'm telling you about, the psychics, telepaths, wizards, and witches and warlocks, and the white community is in it, and the black community is in it. These people, Mexicans, are in it too. They caused all of this. Those are the three main races, ethnicities that are in it: the blacks, the whites, and the Mexicans. The Asians, not so much. Other races, not so much. But those three races are the ones that's in it. You know what I'm saying? They're in this psychological network. that works against key people here in America, and they work for the government to do their dirty work. That's what I believe. I believe they work for the American government to do dirty work that the American government doesn't want to get their hands dirty doing. So these people go out and do it for them. This is one of their main purposes. You know, the groups that are in it are inside this network are the Illuminati and the Freemasons, both of them. And there's probably other little groups that's in it too. And there's everyday Americans that are in it too for money. You know, it's like almost like a EBT situation, food stamp case situation. So they pass out money to people to have them involved in gang stalking in your community. Now, when I say gang stalking, it's like just imagine you step outside and everything is a movie. Like it's all staged. Everyone's doing something, but it's not real. This is what basically gang stalking is. You go to your grocery store, it's all staged. They're all doing certain things to trigger you, specifically pedophilia. They want to trigger you. That's their weapon of choice here in America. This network is using pedophilia as its means of defeating their enemies, but it's not working. You know you're not a pedophile. I know I'm not a pedophile. But see, the reason why they use this is because it's not that you even have a past in pedophilia. It's not that you even come off as a pedophile. It's a weapon that is used because it's an image or a character image that no one in American society will accept. So if they can get this character image to stick on you, then you will be demonized from the entire American community. So it's really, pedophilia is really irrelevant. It's really about giving you this image that separates you from the American community, that assassinates your character successfully. But so that's why they keep putting these thoughts in your head, so you can think maybe maybe you are a pedophile. So they're trying to convince you through repetitive psychological means, using pedophile images to your brain through spiritual technology and tangible technology. And they use tangible human beings, which would be children, in your society as like a gang stalking movie. When you go to your grocery stores and you go outside and you notice a whole bunch of children out there, that's all gang stalking. That's all gang stalking. That's why they don't understand. I'm a master. I understand. I'm a veteran at this. See, a lot of you, it's going to take you years and years to believe this. It's going to take you years to believe this. Listen to what I said. It's going to take you years to believe what I'm telling you, because these people act kind of like military. They act like military, and what most civilians don't understand about military is the reality of the operations that militaries have. Most civilians don't believe or understand the depth of the operations that's going on. So, in other words, military operations and military wars are separate from civilian life. So it's hard for you to understand what is real when it comes to military work and attacks or operations. It's hard for you to fathom it because you don't live in that world. So, but there's a whole military world that's at war with each other, and so this psychic and telepath network, they're part of that world, but they're like the bottom, they're like the roaches in that world. They're like rats and roaches in the military world. They have no real impact on society or countries or cities and nations. They're like the rats in that world. Okay, in the military world, this whole military world where all the countries are at war with each other, which is presently really going on. There's always wars and conflicts and going on. So for a lot of Christians, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard for you to believe in this because you're not part of this world. that world, that military world. So you're going to think people like me are paranoid, or you're going to think people like me are exaggerating, and we're not exaggerating. This is a real world. This is a real, just like military have wars that you are not aware of. They have conflicts and things that you're not aware of. Even the police have operations that you're not aware of. CIA, FBI, like all these institutions have operations that you're not aware of. It's not just some of you are in the civilian world so deeply that you are not aware of these operations. You have National Guard. National Guard is what guards the nation. It's the military, it's the part of the military that guards the nation. They have operations 24/7 throughout the country that you're not aware of. See, the people that think like me usually come from military or, yeah, or they're police or people who understand protecting the country or surveillance in the country and those type of things. But half of you civilians and Christians, you do not realize the operations that are constantly going on. I mean, you look at the police; they're not driving by for no reason. They're driving by in an operation most of the times. They have unmarked cars in your community. They're doing stings on people. They're doing undercover work. These are operations that most civilians in America are not aware of. But you need to become aware of these operations. You need to become aware of the presence of police, military, and these rats and roaches that's in the military world, these secret societies. You need to become aware of these individuals because this is what's really going on. This is really what's to the forefront of what's going on right now in 2022. It's a lot of psychological wars that's going on. So these wars, like I said, are in your society, and a lot of you are not going to believe in it. It's going to take something. It's going to take time for a lot of you to go through it yourself for you to believe in it. Are you can have instantaneous faith or understanding of what I'm telling you and believe and understand what I'm telling you is true. But this war has been going on for some time. This psychological war has been going on for quite some time. In the magnitude that it's been going on, it's now presently it's been going on like that for quite some time, and that's why you have the coronavirus. You have all this stuff that's going on. These diseases and these plagues. This is from God. This is God doing it. And see, you Christians, and I know how you think. See, and it's not God's fault. You are in such a nice world. You put yourself in such a nice world. You go to church. You do all the spiritual things that you're supposed to do. But what happens is you think you that limits you. You allow it to, and it's not God's fault. You allow it to limit you to your to disbelief. You make, in other words, your lifestyle. It's not the lifestyle you live. It's you that make you disbelieve in a world that is evil as it is. You think the whole world. You think the whole world. You give everybody is nice, and you give the benefit of the doubt, and you don't believe in real operations. You believe that people that talk like me is either crazy or exaggerating or are conspiracy theorist. Okay, now like I said, they are their endeavor is to in this country is to make people feel like pedophiles. Mostly that's the weapon they're using, because like I said, it's a weapon that can cause character assassination. Okay, nobody has a problem with a thug these days, a killer these days, even serial killers. Some people even find them exciting, but most people will not find a pedophile appealing. So this is why they specifically use this. Like I told you, it's not because you may have a past in it. It may not be none of that. It's because they're using it to assassinate your character to the American community and overall community. Now, see, some people are so, if they don't know they're doing this, and this is the reason, then the Satanic Kingdom is has this mentality. So Satan has this mentality. This is what he's doing it for. If they're not smart enough to realize what they're doing, then this is what Satan is doing it for. So I'm still correct. I'm still right because that's Satan's purpose. So they may have one purpose, but the ultimate purpose is Satan's purpose when they're working for him. And his purpose is to take and assassinate your character to the people so that you will be ineffective and that you, hopefully you could they won't want you to commit suicide, or hopefully they hope someone kills you. See, that's how that's working. So see, this is what caused all of this coronavirus and all of that, all this crazy stuff that they thought they could do. And see, what they really thought was they could be like Rome, like the Colosseum Rome, like the blood sports and stuff. They thought they could make this Colosseum world up, like this Colosseum type of world, and play blood sports psychological games like the Romans did. Like they persecuted the Christians. They had blood sports in Colosseums where people fought to the death and things like that. And see, here in America, God didn't allow it because their country is already docile. So if God knows that that's the way people think here, then when you try to do something that is against the conscience of the people to an extreme, then that curses your country. So, in other words, in a barbaric country, God may have more compassion for even a barbaric country, because they're barbaric by nature. America is not barbaric by nature. So when they started to do these new blood sport and Coliseum war sport games, when they start to do all of that, them not being barbaric but quite docile by nature, God knew, in other words, it was totally out of character for them, and they would curse the whole country. Because God will look at a people and say, okay, those people are barbaric. They've been barbaric for thousands of years. They slaughter innocent people. They slaughter and rape, and they don't have any mercy. Mercy. They don't know any better. Their children are taught this. It goes on and on. Americans are docile. They sit home and watch TV all the time. They're not warriors by nature. They're not groomed as children to be warriors. They're not warriors at all. So when they tried to do this here, totally out of character for their country, God had no mercy on America. I'm trying to show you why it's happening. Because, like I told you, if it was somewhere else in another country, mercy may have been extended, because generations and generations of the people knew no better. They didn't know any better. So how can you really blame someone that don't know any better? They're consumed in this barbaric nature in other places in the East. You know, if you look at the history of Eastern countries, it's generation of barbaric nature, barbaric activity. So God had mercy. God has mercy a lot of times because God has the full infinite capacity to understand all components and satellites of situations. And see, the components and satellites of your situation here in America is you're very docile people. You're very docile people. You're not tough. You think you're tough. You're not tough. You're not barbaric by nature. And that's why God had no mercy, because it's not your nature. You were totally out of character. And these people try to do something innovative. That's what happened to them. I can tell you exactly how they thought. They tried to do something innovative, like it's some blood sport, new Roman community. They thought they would be the new Roman community and say, hey, let's do something innovative. Let's play like a blood sport. This is people with rich white Americans, is where it really comes from, with too much time on their hands. And this is where it stems from. And they thought that they were just going to play this innovative new game in America. Listen to that key part. They thought they was going to play an innovative new game in America, and God didn't allow it because it's not their nature. God did not have mercy because it's not their nature. And see, that's what the people, they didn't understand. They thought, well, Rome did it, well, other countries did it, but they came from generations of barbaric community, generations and generations of barbaric killings and slayings of people. America does it, a couple people die, they lose their mind. A couple people die outside in a bloody way, they'll talk about it for 10 years from now. Just a couple people. When in other countries, the whole country was barbaric. So I'm showing you why specifically there is no mercy extended to you from God, from the American to the American community. It's not extended. God is not giving you any mercy because it's out of your nature, and the nature of what you're doing is nothing more than a video game. It's nothing more than a video game. It does not stem from the barbaric nature and generations of your community. Your community is very docile. I see you like teacup poodles, lap dogs. Half of y'all are like teacup poodles. To me, I don't care how many guns you got. I know that you're not built as a barbaric human being. And I don't care how many guns you got. You're not barbaric. And that's why you're in the situation you're in now. Because God looked at it as you was playing a video game. You didn't learn it from your daddy. You didn't learn it from your granddaddy. You didn't learn it from generations and generations ahead of before you to be barbaric, as to play the games that you're playing specifically in this barbaric nature. The games and the likeness of the games that you're playing now was not a hand down from barbaric nature, barbaric generations before you. They were not doing things quite like this with your community. I already sensed it. Everybody already sensed it. That's why some people think it's appealing to them. It's amazing to them. It's appealing to them because it's something that America hasn't been doing. That's why it's gathering a certain following. But what they don't realize is it's all cursed because God has cursed it. That's why you can't get any better. America's not doing any better. It's not going to do any better because God cursed you. He decided to curse you. Now, if you lived, like I said, if you lived in a different country, then God may have given the present generations a certain amount of mercy based on wisdom, knowing that you were groomed like this, knowing you were groomed to do these things. But this came from nothing but a whole bunch of dumb idiots thinking to make a dumb decision to play a game in their country. That's what it came from. And it backfired. And so that's why now you have all of this. I would even dare to say that it's all because of the Americans that all of this is going on. That's my personal opinion. It wasn't nothing Russia did. It wasn't nothing that China did, North Korea, Iraq, Iran. It was none of those countries that did anything to bring these curses on us. Listen to me as a spiritual counselor, because none of these American preachers counsel America as they should. They preach. I'm counseling you. I'm showing you I'm giving you spiritual counseling right now. This has come upon America because of the blood sports and games that people played in this country. This is why any spiritual person with spiritual insight and a spiritual mind and have spiritual senses and are spiritually sensitive, they can clearly see that this has been brought upon us. This isn't just something that's here. because it's too concentrate in one area. It's too, I mean, in one area of time. It's too concentrate. All of these things happening in one place in time, which means it's a repercussion from something else that was happening in one place in time. That's why it's all concentrate. That's why it's all happening at one time. See, what people forget is that in the spiritual world, whether I don't care what you do, if you do voodoo, you do hoodoo, you do witchcraft of any denomination, you do not have the highest spiritual insight on the entire spiritual world. You do not. And this is what you forget. This is what many of you forget, because America has gassed you, has stroked your spiritual ego. For all you voodoo practitioners, all you psychic people and telepaths, you are your ego gets stroked by Americans because they're godless, because they don't have a sense of spirituality. So any spirituality that you do have, they think it's so amazing, therefore stroking your ego. But if you went to any other country with that weak voodoo and stuff that you're doing, it would be nothing. You would be cursed by your enemies, and you would die. There's people with higher levels of spirituality than you, in other words. And what the American spiritual community has made the fatal mistake of is being arrogant, running around cursing and playing games with curses. And you played with the wrong person, and you thought you was at the top of the spiritual food chain, and you found out there's people higher than you. You're not the highest. Voodoo is not the highest. These are conversations that you don't have among yourselves. See, I know about your world. You don't know about mine. I know about Dr. Buzzard. I know about Marie Laveau. I know about high-ranking witches and warlocks. You don't know about high-ranking prophets that have the power to destroy you. Yeah, I know. You want to leave that part out. You want to ignore that part. Well, it's not the time to ignore that part, buddy. If you have been practicing witchcraft against prophets like me, you are good as dead. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't care how nice of a person you are. I don't care how cute you are, how beautiful you are dead if you have been practicing witchcraft against God's prophets. You are dead. Your days are numbered. And like I said, what has made you arrogant is the American community that lacks spirituality. In other words, you haven't met your match. Now you have. You've met your match now. Because we don't care nothing about you reading minds. We don't care nothing about you casting little images of kids in people's brains. We don't care nothing about that. You have met your match because you are being destroyed. I don't care. Like, they stroke your ego. That don't mean nothing to me. In the spiritual world, on the levels that I'm on, we care about manifestations. What can you manifest? What can you actually manifest? You are what? You read minds, so what? What did you do with it though? What did you make happen? See, I understand this whole spiritual spectrum. You don't. What can you make manifest? What can you do in the whole country? Not on your block, not on your city. We've destroyed this side of the kingdom of God. This side of the spiritual spectrum has destroyed your whole country. You don't see that? Anybody with a spiritual brain and spiritual sight can see that. I don't care what denomination of spirituality you come from. I don't care what you are in the spiritual world. I don't care what you are in the spiritual world. If you are high ranking, you know that something brought this upon this country. It has crossed your mind that something has brought this on these people. Someone did something. And I'm going to tell you what they did. The American community, whether it be government or community, it's only two. You got government, American government, you got American community. As far as communities go, which one it was, they played games with God's prophets. They played games with spiritual people, and they lost. And the entire world had to suffer because of specifically this American community. I am very confident as a spiritual person that this American community is the one that brought this on the whole entire global community. It is this kingdom that did it. It's this kingdom that did it. It's not the Russians. It's not the Africans. Look at it for what it is. It's not the Africans. It's not the Russians. It's not the Chinese. It's not the North Koreans. Now, but when you come over here in America, you see people doing evil things. See, listen to that part. When you come over here in America, you see people killing their kids, killing themselves, 44 states with child marriage, 50 states with same-sex marriage. You see all of this cesspool of evil. This country has brought this evil